Hello everyone, thank you so much for coming to my channel where I talk all things costuming, cosplay, and live events. And today we are talking about GalaxyCon Columbus 2024, or more specifically my time with the 501st Legion as we operated our semi-little Galaxy's Edge. So here's my exhibitor badge. And before we get into it, I actually want to kind of show off my outfit. I know you can't really see it a lot of it because I'm sitting down. Basically, I've got this big like poncho and then this I think it's like an army surplus like tan cottony shirt and some yellow sunglasses. And I'm kind of testing out like Batuu bounding for those of you that don't know what that is. It's basically Disney bounding but in the Star Wars universe, and people do it when they go visit Galaxy's Edge. So basically you're just kind of dressing as an in-universe original character at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. And I thought it was appropriate because we kind of brought our own little mini Batuu to GalaxyCon Columbus. So without further ado, here we go. So the process for bringing something like this to life is very intensive. I will not lie, it's a lot of planning, at least 6 months out. It's a lot of physical labor. It's a lot of logistics. It's a lot of everything. So but we're going to start off from the very beginning where we packed up our truck. So one of our members has a, I don't know, like 18-foot trailer. I'm not sure how big it is, but it's new this year. In previous years, we've just rented U-Hauls. One of our members has that, and another member has a bunch of sheds at his place where he stocks a lot of our set pieces and our props and things like that. So first part of this is getting a trailer and taking it over to the member's house where we store all of our things. And this year we were really fortunate. I think at least like 12 people showed up to load the truck. So it was like record time. It was like less than an hour to get everything needed for this event into this truck and ready to go to load in the next day. So already we were on a good start. Unfortunately, it was really dark and I was so focused on the like, let's get this done. I didn't get anything filmed. So, oh, sorry. Part two is the load-in at the actual convention center. So at some point we got our wires crossed and we had thought that load-in started at 8 a.m. on Thursday. And unfortunately, that was incorrect. Load-in started at 10 a.m. and we had a whole bunch of us there. I think maybe 8 of us, so maybe not a whole bunch, but we had quite a few of us there ready to load in at 8 a.m. when it was 19 degrees outside and we couldn't get in. So I was very uncomfortable. It was very cold and I so badly wanted to get back in the car and go home. However, my husband was like, we're not doing that. We are going to stay here. And I was like, we ended up going to a local bagel shop and having a little bit of breakfast while we waited for that 10 a.m. start time. And thankfully we did because we were one of the first, I think actually the first vehicle in the loading dock at the convention center ready to get all of our stuff off the trailer. So kind of a loss, kind of a win, but at least we're in good spirits, right? So 10 a.m. we were starting to unload that trailer, one of the first people there, getting everything off the truck and into the actual loading dock at the convention center, and then trying to, as quickly as possible, get the things from the truck and loading dock area all the way over to our space, which is kind of on the opposite side of the convention center from where that loading dock is. So when I say a lot of physical labor, this is part of that. We're like running things back and forth, using a lot of dollies and carts, piano dollies, all of those things to kind of make it easier on us, but it is still a lot. Once we got everything there, then we started assembling. Part three is just kind of our general setup. This is our little GalaxyCon 2024 Batuu in Columbus. So we had some really great areas. Another group from West Virginia that is a part of the 501st Legion brought up their Han and Carbonite, which kind of fit in with the vibe of the rest of our set. So we were really excited about that and had a great time adding that into our collection. We have our giant arch. I'll show. Also had a speeder bike and an in-universe costume station, another in-universe dairy farm where they make the blue milk. And we had a backdrop that's like underneath the Sandcrawler, and that's where we had our like little droid depot. So we had a ton of droids there. We also had general tables for like what the 501st Legion is, what the Rebel Legion is, and the Mandalorian mercs. And then we also had a table where our charity kind of held their ground for the weekend, I guess you could say. This year, we were so grateful that they were able to join us. We were partnering with Four Paws for Ability. So they are a service dog organization, and they take charitable contributions, and we were able to raise over $2,000 for them, which was really, really great. Kind of some of the ways we help raise money for them: we take donations when people want to come in and take selfies with our things. And we also do this thing called the bounty hunt. Well, we will take down a description of someone and you'll give a donation, and then we'll have some of our costume characters hunt you down in the convention center. So that's a really popular one. We had a lot of bounty hunts this time around, and a lot of people had a lot of fun with that. So we are hoping to bring that back. I will also add on their bounty hunts, because we had the service dogs with us today. The service dogs accompanied the bounty hunt, so that was really fun. I'll also say we had a like life-size statue of Emperor Palpatine that my husband created, and a lot of people were really excited to see that. It was another very popular selfie station. In addition to that, we had about over 80 people in costume, so we had a ton of members. I think we had people from 5 different states here in Columbus, Ohio, ready to just enjoy the con and make it a good environment for everybody. So we had a massive group and we had a great time. The only costume that I wore for Star Wars this weekend was my Jawa. Honestly, it was very overwhelming to be in our area for most of the weekend. There was a lot of people coming through, which is so great. But it made me a little claustrophobic, so I didn't really get into a Star Wars costume until Sunday. But then I stayed in my costume for like a couple hours, and it was great. I was playing with the dogs. I had one dog like come up and curl up in my lap. It was so cute. I was not trading trinkets. I was giving trinkets to younger ones who looked like they might be a little afraid with me. And then I had another con goer who was dressed as, I think it was a child that was dressed as a gonk droid, come up, and we had some fun gesturing to each other, I guess. So that's another big thing about what all of this is all about. It's having those meaningful interactions and just having a good time in costumes. Part 4, another thing I did with the 501st Legion this year is I was a part of a panel on demystifying the sewing machine, and that was a lot of fun. I was really nervous for it. I was not the main leader of this panel, but we kind of came in and just talked through the basics of a sewing machine. What this part does, what this part does, what this part does. Just giving some general beginner tips and helping people who might be a little afraid of the sewing machine hopefully not be as afraid. We also gave recommendations on your first sewing machine, and things like that. And a lot of people were really engaged. There was a lot of active listening, and we did some live demos on a sewing machine. So I am really happy with how that went, and I hope that we bring it back again next year. I'm thinking we had about 30 to 40 people in attendance, which I think is pretty good. And we had a lot of people stay after to ask us questions at the end as well. So that's kind of, as a teacher, that's kind of how you gauge it. If they stay back after the lecture and I have questions they want to talk to you, that means you probably did a pretty good job. So little pat on the back there for myself and my fellows on the panel.
Oh, I'm starting. Hi. So my very first sewing machine that I had was actually purchased for me by my husband, but I believe we looked at it together and kind of figured out, yes, this is the one I want. And I have a Brothers sewing machine, and it was in a lower price range. I think probably on sale under $200. I could be incorrect by that. But usually in that price range, you're going to get something that's pretty good to at least start yourself out. I will say the first machine I used, the one I learned on in college, was a Bernina, a computerized Bernina. Those are the best. They're very expensive, like at least $1,000. So I was spoiled when I started. And I've gone back to a lower end domestic machine, which still gets the job done, but it's not quite as nice.
Part 5 is loading it all out. This was kind of the thing I was dreading the most because it is after all of the load-in stuff and then 3 days of the convention and then loading it all out in the same night. So yeah, we were sore afterwards. Very tired afterwards. So basically at the end of the con, I think probably about a half hour before the con actually closed, we started deassembling things inside our little universe. Everybody took their personal belongings to their cars, so we had a lot of costumes. We took those back to our cars and then came back and started tearing everything down. They did something new this year with the loadout, which I think was incredible, and I hope they do something similar in the future, where they would not let you pull into the loading dock until someone from the convention came and was like, yep, all of your stuff is ready to be put on a truck. Please pull into a dock. Otherwise, in previous years, it's just kind of been fighting for the loading dock. So there was a little more streamlined this year. So we got everything torn down, and then timing worked out pretty perfectly for us right as we were finishing taking everything apart. Our folks in our trailer made it right up to the loading dock, and we were able to kind of immediately just start loading stuff into the trailer. So there wasn't really a lot of waiting time for us, which I was afraid of. But again, we didn't really have that, so that was great. And then once we got everything into the truck, then we all sat down for about 20 minutes on the drive to our member's house to unload that truck. And that is the worst part, is doing all of this physical labor and then sitting for 20 minutes, getting comfortable, and then standing right back up and having to do a lot more physical labor again. So yes, it was a lot. But I'm really thankful we had about 12 to 15 people helping with the loadout process and unloading the truck. So all in all, it took under 2 hours, which is the fastest it's ever gone. And this is also the year that we have brought the most stuff with us. So this is bigger than we've ever done before. And it's also faster because we have more participation from our members, which is amazing. One thing I didn't include in the parts is that Hayden Christensen, Anakin Skywalker, was at the convention this year, and we were able to get 6 of our Vaders to go meet him in costume. So my husband and I were helping handle these 6 Vaders across the convention hall to meet Hayden Christensen. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to get a lot of video in there. I might throw up a picture or two, but I did get to see Hayden Christensen from pretty close up, and that was really fun. There were a lot of other great celebrities at GalaxyCon Columbus this year, but Hayden Christensen was definitely one of the top guys. And there was a line literally wrapped around the convention center just to meet him. Yeah, that was definitely a highlight. And another thing that happens when we get together as a group is we will often have like stickers or things to trade with each other. Some of our members very nicely, I think they made these and handed them out to everybody who was in a Jawa costume. So these little guys, I wore them most of the weekend, and anything that's cute and has Jawas on it, I love it. So Thanks, friends. Yeah, I'm really excited about how this year went and how we have grown just over the last few years. The con itself continues to grow. I will say I did a lot of other things outside of Star Wars, but this is already kind of becoming a longish video, so I decided to split up the two. Next week's video will be about my cosplay competitions and the characters I chose and behind the scenes and all of that with my other costumes. So that brings me to the end of this video. If you enjoy this video, please consider liking, commenting, or subscribing. It really helps out this channel and I appreciate it so much. Thank you so much again, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.